The child stars of Hollywood were once familiar faces, loved not only on screen, but also in the hearts of audiences everywhere. They graced magazine covers, their names echoed far and wide, and they became role models admired by the public. However, one day, they suddenly disappeared. So what happened to these beloved young talents when the spotlight faded away? Some of their stories will break your heart, while others may restore your faith in humanity. Let's explore these fascinating stories, starting with some of the most prominent child stars from the 1930s to the 1970s. I'm sure you've heard some emotional stories and the ups and downs that these child stars have gone through. Some have tragic endings, while others will restore our faith in the power of human kindness. So, what do you think about these stories? Do you have any interesting information about these child stars from the video? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, leave a 1. If not, comment 0. Bobby Driscoll was no ordinary child actor. He was the first child star signed by Disney, voiced Peter Pan, and was the face of the movie Treasure Island. With the prestigious Academy Juvenile Award at just 12 years old, Bobby had a promising future ahead. However, adolescence hit Bobby like a shockwave. His once cute, chubby face began to change, acne scarred his skin, and his features started to look more mature. Things took a turn for the worse when Walt Disney, who had once treated Bobby like a son, abruptly ended his contract in 1953. Just 3 years after starring in the famous Treasure Island, Disney executives decided that Bobby no longer fit the company's image, despite the fact that he had been going through difficult personal changes. By the age of 16, Bobby became a failure in the eyes of the public, spiraling into a cycle of drug addiction and criminal behavior. His parents couldn't figure out how to help him and eventually sent him to a rehab center, but it proved to be ineffective. By his early 20s, Bobby had become addicted to heroin and was frequently arrested. He completely distanced himself from Hollywood, a place that had once celebrated him. The final chapter of Bobby's life is a deeply tragic one. In 1968, a group of children playing in an abandoned building in New York discovered the body of a man. With no identification, he was buried without a headstone on Hart Island. Nearly 2 years later, Bobby's mother requested the police reopen the investigation, and through fingerprint analysis, it was confirmed that the body belonged to Bobby Driscoll. He had died at the age of 31 from heart failure due to excessive drug use. A once brilliant star, now ending his life in obscurity and loneliness. It was a painful and heartbreaking end for a talent that had so much promise. Unlike the tragic story of Bobby, Margaret O'Brien's story took a hopeful turn. Margaret captured attention from a young age with her exceptional acting talent in classic films like Meet Me in St. Louis alongside Judy Garland. Her outstanding performance as Tootie Smith earned her a special Academy Juvenile Award, and her sweet, soulful crying became one of the key elements that made Margaret a shining star at MGM. However, as she entered her teenage years, Margaret's career began to slow down. She faced challenges in transitioning from a sweet young girl to a teenager, and as a result, she stopped getting the notable roles she once had. Instead of continuing to struggle in an industry she felt was changing, Margaret chose a different path, leaving behind the Hollywood spotlight. She decided to redirect her energy into her personal life, focusing on her family and education. Although she occasionally appeared in television shows and on stage, Margaret never returned to Hollywood with the ambition of reclaiming her former glory. Today, at the age of 87, Margaret lives a simple life in California. Unlike many other stars, she has managed her finances well and maintained stability in her life. Margaret occasionally attends film events, where fans are thrilled to meet her again. Despite having lived through more than 8 decades, her warm smile and gentle spirit continue to make fans feel close and cherished. Margaret's decision to leave the limelight peacefully, not pressured by shifting tastes or the decline of fame, is a path few choose, but one filled with serenity and freedom. When The Yearling was released in 1946, all eyes were on Claude Jarman Jr., a 12-year-old boy with a natural performance as Jody Baxter. With his heartfelt portrayal of the relationship between a boy and his pet deer in rural Florida, Claude won the Academy Juvenile Award, opening the door to a promising future in the film industry. However, just a few years later, Claude's name gradually faded, and his face disappeared from the screen. However, this disappearance was not due to being pushed out of the industry, but rather a different choice. He decided to leave Hollywood in search of a new path. As a teenager, Claude realized that a stable education would provide him with a life different from the constant changes in the film industry. After completing a few films that didn't meet expectations, Claude made the decision to return to Tennessee, finishing high school with his friends instead of continuing to pursue more movies. After graduating, he attended Vanderbilt University and served in the Navy. Later, he settled in San Francisco, where he served as the executive director of the San Francisco International Film Festival for 15 years. Today, at the age of 89, Claude Jarman Jr. lives a fulfilling life with his family and occasionally shares the small but meaningful contributions he made to the film industry. His decision to prioritize education and a simple life stands in stark contrast to his peers, many of whom still long to maintain their acting careers despite the changes that have occurred. Deanna Durbin was one of Hollywood's brightest child stars in the late 1930s and early 1940s. With her soaring voice and graceful beauty, she quickly became one of Universal Studios' most beloved faces, even being credited with saving the studio from bankruptcy. She was one of the highest-grossing stars of the time, and her fan club was one of the largest of the era. By the age of 21, Deanna had become the second highest-paid woman in America, only behind Bette Davis, with a salary of $400,000 per film. However, at the height of her career, Deanna made a decision that shocked Hollywood and broke the hearts of millions of fans. She chose to retire, leaving behind all the fame and lucrative contracts. After completing her 21st film, For the Love of Mary, in 1949, Deanna suddenly disappeared from public life. She moved to a small village outside Paris, France, married producer Charles David, and turned down every offer to return to the screen. For the next 64 years, Deanna lived a quiet life, refusing all interview requests and invitations to attend events. When asked about this decision years later, Deanna shared a rare statement. "I was never happy in Hollywood. I couldn't face the unreality of the life I was expected to live." She explained that her image as the eternal girl next door had become suffocating, and no amount of money could compensate for the loss of privacy and her true self. Deanna lived quietly in France until her death in 2013 at the age of 91, steadfastly refusing any temptations to return to the spotlight. Her decision to completely step away from the world of fame remains one of the most striking self-imposed disappearances in Hollywood history. With his shiny blonde hair and expressive blue eyes, Brandon de Wilde made a lasting impression on fans with the famous line, "Shane, come back, in the film Shane, 1953. His performance as the young boy Joey made him one of the standout child stars of the time, and it also earned him a nomination for an Academy Award, making him one of the youngest actors ever to receive such an honor at just 11 years old. Unlike many child actors who struggle to find their place in adult roles, Brandon successfully transitioned to teenage parts in notable films such as HUD, alongside Paul Newman, and TV shows like The Virginia. His career seemed to promise a bright future as an adult actor. However, fate was not kind to him. In July 1972, at the age of 30, Brandon lost control of his car and crashed into a truck near Denver, Colorado. His promising life was tragically cut short, leaving fans mourning a talent that never had the chance to fully bloom. His sudden death left behind a small but memorable legacy, with only 17 films to his name. Although Brandon's career was interrupted far too soon, his story serves as a reminder of the fragility of life and how dreams and futures can be extinguished in an instant. No discussion about the most famous child stars in Hollywood history would be complete without mentioning Shirley Temple. With her bouncy curls and dimpled smile, she became a symbol of joy and hope during the Great Depression. At just 7 years old, Shirley was earning $50,000 per film, a staggering amount for the time, and even her merchandise, ranging from dolls to clothing, brought in millions of dollars in profit. However, like all children, time eventually changed her. As Shirley entered her teenage years, her appeal began to wane. The 20th Century Fox studio, which had helped make her a major star, decided to cancel her contract when she turned 12. After a few unsuccessful attempts in teenage roles, Shirley officially retired from acting at the age of 22. However, unlike many other child stars who faded into obscurity, Shirley Temple Black, her name after marriage, had a highly successful second act in her career, this time in the field of diplomacy. She became the U.S. ambassador to Ghana and later to Czechoslovakia, proving that she was not only a child star, but also a talented diplomat. When asked about her journey, she shared, "I have one piece of advice for anyone who wants to be an actor. Don't do it." Her later career in public service demonstrated that stepping away from the spotlight doesn't mean an end to contributing to society. With millions of viewers in the U.S. during the 1950s, Tommy Rettig became known for his role as Jeff Miller, the young boy who owned the famous collie dog in the television series Lassie. With a completely American appearance and a natural rapport with the beloved pet, Tommy became one of the most recognizable child stars of the era. However, his relationship with fame was quite complicated. By the time he was 14, Tommy began to feel uncomfortable with his famous status and the limitations it brought. In a shocking decision, he requested to be released from his contract with Lassie, a role many viewers considered a dream. However, he soon faced difficulties transitioning to other roles. Like many other child stars, producers remembered him only as the boy with the famous dog, making new roles scarce. His teenage years were filled with struggles and obscurity, and he even ran into legal troubles in the 1960s. Despite this, Tommy found joy and fulfillment in his later career as a computer programming expert. Becoming a software consultant, he established himself and wrote several books on programming. While his film career was short-lived, Tommy Rettig found peace in his second career, living a life that was completely different from Hollywood. Before Shirley Temple, there was baby Peggy, one of the very first child stars of silent films. From 1921 to 1924, this little girl made over 150 short films and several feature films, becoming a global sensation before she even turned 6. With her short-cropped hair and serious expression, she showcased remarkable acting skills by impersonating major stars like Rudolph Valentino and Pola Negri. At the height of her career, baby Peggy earned $1.5 million a year, equivalent to about $23 million today, and supported her family with that enormous income. She received more than 1.7 million fan letters, proving just how popular she was. However, like many other child stars, baby Peggy soon had to face the challenges of growing up and a changing career. Her career ended early, but baby Peggy's story remains an important part of silent film history. The astonishing numbers from her career impress anyone, yet behind her dazzling fame lies a tragic tale. In the 1920s, baby Peggy, whose real name was Diana Sarah Carey, was a silent film star. Her father, a former cowboy with industry connections, managed her career with an iron fist. Baby Peggy was forced to work tirelessly 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. She had no formal education, no friends her own age, and never saw a penny of the huge money she earned. When she cried from exhaustion on set, crew members used ice to stop her tears, a cruel form of exploitation that a child had to endure. By 1925, when she was only 7 years old, baby Peggy's career had collapsed due to conflicts between her father and the producers, along with financial mismanagement. The family's assets were ruined, and she had to return to work performing in vaudeville shows to make a living. As the Great Depression dragged on, even the income from these performances dried up. By then a teenager, Diana decided to change her name to Diana Sarah Carey to escape the baby Peggy image tied to her exploited childhood. She lived a normal life for many decades, working various jobs and struggling to come to terms with what had happened to her childhood. It wasn't until she reached her 70s that film historians began to rediscover her. She started speaking out about the exploitation of children in the early film industry. Diana lived to be 101 years old and passed away in 2020, becoming the last surviving star of the silent film era. In her later years, Diana became an author and an advocate for child actors, using her painful experiences to fight for change in the industry. Scotty Beckett was a familiar child star to audiences from a very young age, shining in the comedy series Our Gang, also known as The Little Rascals. With his crooked baseball cap and mischievous smile, Scotty won the hearts of viewers and became one of the most beloved child actors of the 1930s. He continued his acting career in feature films and even played a young Al Jolson in The Jolson Story. Scotty's early career was full of promise. He worked steadily throughout the 1930s and 1940s, avoiding the unemployment that many other child actors faced. As he grew older, he had a recurring role on the TV series Rocky Jones, Space Ranger, showing that he could successfully transition into adult roles. However, behind his shining career lay serious psychological struggles. The death of his father when Scotty was just 14 threw him into an emotional spiral from which he never fully recovered. In his late teens, Scotty began engaging in self-destructive behaviors, abusing alcohol and prescription drugs, along with impulsive actions that led to public incidents. The 1950s were a turbulent period in Scotty's life. He was arrested for drunk driving and check fraud, and his career started to stall. By the late 1950s, he was out of work in Hollywood, his reputation tarnished by unpredictable behavior and legal troubles. In May 1968, Scotty Beckett was admitted to a nursing home after a severe beating. Two days later, he was found dead in his room at the age of 38, with the cause believed to be an overdose of tranquilizers, although many questions remain surrounding his death. It was a tragic end to a promising career, with opportunities quickly slipping away amid personal tragedies. The contrast between the cheerful boy from the Little Rascals and the troubled, forgotten man serves as a stark reminder of the dark side of early fame. Scotty Beckett's life is a cautionary tale about Hollywood's harsh realities and how child stars can be easily destroyed before they reach their full potential. Freddie Bartholomew was one of Hollywood's most prominent child stars in the 1930s, known for his outstanding acting ability and refined demeanor. He became an MGM icon, considered a rival to Fox's Shirley Temple. Freddie stood out in film adaptations of famous literary works such as David Copperfield, Little Lord Fauntleroy, and Captains Courageous. With his polished English accent, incredible acting skills, and impeccable manner, Freddie became the ideal model of the English boy in Hollywood. At the height of his career, Freddie earned $20,500 a week, a huge sum during the Great Depression. However, behind this success was a family tragedy. Freddie was born into a poor family in London and was later sent to live with an aunt who recognized his potential and brought him to the United States. As Freddie's career took off, his biological parents suddenly reappeared, sparking a public custody battle largely driven by financial interests in his earnings. The legal costs from these disputes nearly wiped out Freddie's entire fortune. As Freddie entered his teenage years, changes in his appearance meant he was no longer cast in the same roles as before. Gradually, audience tastes shifted, and MGM let him go when his contract expired at age 14. However, unlike many other child stars, Freddie faced the decline of his career remarkably well. After serving in the Air Force during World War II, he reinvented himself in the field of television advertising. He started out in sales and eventually became an executive at a major advertising company in New York. Freddie rarely spoke about his film career. Instead, he preferred to be recognized for his achievements in advertising. When he passed away in 1992 at the age of 67, many colleagues in the advertising industry were surprised to learn that he had once been a famous Hollywood child star. Freddie successfully transitioned from child actor to a successful advertising executive, becoming a model of grace and adaptability in the entertainment world. If you found Freddie's story inspiring and want to learn more about child stars who successfully transform their careers, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment below sharing your thoughts on this impressive journey of change. Jackie Coogan is recognized as Hollywood's first child star, discovered by Charlie Chaplin when he was just 7 years old. Chaplin chose Jackie to co-star in The Kid, 1921, and the boy's acting talent made him famous overnight. Jackie's deeply emotional performance as the abandoned child taken in by Chaplin's character showed a rare emotional depth, uncommon even among performers of all ages. Jackie's fame quickly skyrocketed to the top. His image appeared on toys, clothing, and food products worldwide. His bobbed hairstyle became a fashion trend for boys across America. By the time he was 10 years old, Jackie was earning around $4 million equivalent to about $60 million today, a fortune built entirely on his natural acting talent. However, Jackie never got to enjoy the money he earned. When he turned 21, he discovered that his mother and stepfather had squandered nearly all of his fortune on a lavish lifestyle. Only $126,000 remained from his earnings. The highly publicized legal battle with his own mother made national headlines and led to the enactment of the California Child Actors Bill in 1939, also known as the Coogan Law. This law requires a portion of a child actor's earnings to be set aside in a trust to protect their income. Although Jackie continued acting into adulthood, he never regained the childhood fame he once had. Later generations mainly know him as Uncle Fester in The Addams Family, 1960s, a role completely different from the sensitive boy audiences once loved. Jackie's legacy lies not in his adult career, but in the legal protections his personal tragedy helped establish for future child actors. Beverly Washburn was one of Hollywood's most notable child actresses in the 1950s. With expressive eyes and a natural acting ability, she quickly became a familiar face on screen. Although she didn't achieve the same level of fame as some of her contemporaries, Beverly remained a well-known name in television shows like The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, and Leave It to Beaver. She also had standout roles in feature films such as Shane and Old Yeller. Her versatility helped her maintain a steady career over the years, at a time when many child actors struggled to transition into adult roles. Directors especially praised Beverly's ability to cry convincingly in roles that required vulnerability and strong emotions. Unlike many other child stars, Beverly made a relatively smooth transition from child actor to adult. Although major roles became less frequent, she continued to find opportunities in television and film well into the 1970s. As her acting career gradually slowed down, Beverly found a peaceful life outside of Hollywood, focusing on her family and participating in fan conventions. Beverly's memoir, Real Tears, offers an honest glimpse into the film industry of that era without sensationalism or bitterness. Her story is a testament to a middle path, not a tragic downfall, nor an extraordinary success. Beverly's career illustrates how a child star can work steadily, build a life beyond the spotlight, and still maintain grace and passion for the craft. Though not a typical child star, June Lockhart had a remarkable career in successfully transitioning from child actor to adult performer, a feat many of her contemporaries could not achieve. She began her film career at the age of 13 with A Christmas Carol, 1938, and managed to maintain her career into adulthood. She was one of the rare cases to overcome the difficult phase many child actors face, as audiences often only love the innocent image of children. June appeared in numerous films throughout her teenage years, with a memorable role in Meet Me in St. Louis. However, her true breakthrough came when she became one of television's beloved mothers through her roles in Lassie and Lost in Space. The transition from child star to a cherished maternal figure is a rare achievement in Hollywood. Today, at 99 years old, June has survived through many long years and is one of the rare remaining members of the old Hollywood generation. She occasionally shares stories from her career spanning 9 decades, serving as a role model for child stars who successfully avoid the pitfalls of the industry. June's success lies not only in the roles she played, but also in her ability to sustain a long-lasting career without being derailed by Hollywood's constant changes. Gloria Jean, with her soprano voice and wholesome appeal, quickly became a promising musical star at Universal Studios in the late 1930s and early 1940s. After debuting in The Under Pup, 1939, Gloria appeared in numerous musical films, often alongside stars like Donald O'Connor, showcasing her vocal talents. Although she had a bright career with over 20 films, Gloria's popularity began to decline in the late 1940s as audience tastes shifted. Hollywood no longer favored musical comedies as before, and Universal declined to renew her contract. Sensing the changing market, she chose to leave the entertainment industry, opting for stability rather than clinging to fading fame. In the early 1950s, Gloria completely left Hollywood to work at Redken Laboratories and later as an executive receptionist. She lived a quiet and peaceful life, raising her family and maintaining close relationships with a few friends in the entertainment world while staying away from the spotlight. Her death in 2018 at the age of 92 received little media attention, reflecting her complete withdrawal from the spotlight. Gloria had no regrets about leaving her film career behind, and in later interviews, she said that when it was time to move on, she simply moved on. Her legacy stands as proof that a brief moment in the spotlight does not have to define a person's entire life. Kevin Corcoran, one of Disney's standout child stars of the 1950s and 1960s, is best known for his role as Moochie in Disney classics like Old Yeller, The Shaggy Dog, and Swiss Family Robinson. With his freckled face and mischievous energy, Kevin embodied the typical post-war American boy and was specially noticed by Walt Disney, who cast him in numerous roles. However, instead of continuing his acting career, Kevin realized that his future might lie behind the camera. After studying theater arts at California State University, he transitioned into assistant directing and producing. He worked on popular TV shows such as Quantum Leap, Baywatch, and Murder. Kevin's later career proves his success in moving from in front of the camera to behind it, a feat few child stars manage. He was especially effective directing young actors, drawing on his own first-hand experience as a child performer. Kevin built a long and successful career in television production. He passed away in 2015 at the age of 66 from colorectal cancer, leaving behind a legacy of professionalism in both roles, a reliable Disney child star and a respected TV producer and director. Kevin's successful transition from child actor to behind-the-scenes filmmaker remains one of the rare and admirable stories in Hollywood. John Provost, known for his role as Timmy Martin on Lassie, 1957, became one of the most recognizable faces on American television. For 7 years, Timmy's adventures with the collie dog Lassie captivated millions of viewers and made John one of the standout child stars of that era. His blonde hair and innocent expressions became iconic symbols of family television in the 1950s, when such shows were an essential part of popular culture. At the show's peak, John received over 2,000 fan letters every week, reflecting the deep affection audiences had for him. However, at age 14, John felt he was too old to keep playing the eternally youthful Timmy. After discussing it with his family, he decided not to renew his contract and chose a different path. Timmy and his family were written off the show by moving to Australia, providing a sensible conclusion to their roles on Lassie. After leaving Lassie, John faced the common struggles of many child stars: difficulty landing prominent roles and an inability to recapture past success. Rather than continuing to seek opportunities in Hollywood, John decided to leave the entertainment industry altogether. He went to college and shifted his career toward real estate development in Northern California. There, he got married, raised children, and built a quiet life away from the spotlight. Today, at 74 years old, John Provost has come to terms with his past and occasionally attends nostalgia conventions, where he happily shares memories of playing Timmy on Lassie. He has written a memoir titled Timmy's in the Well, recounting interesting stories from his time as a child star. John's journey stands as a testament to the possibility of stepping away from the spotlight, building a stable life, and looking back on the past with peace. Bonita Granville first gained attention playing complex and cunning young girls, especially in her role as Mary Tilford in These Three, 1936, which earned her an Academy Award nomination at just 13 years old. Bonita's impressive performances, particularly in villainous roles, left a lasting impression on audiences. After becoming a child star, she continued her acting career and was best known for playing Nancy Drew, the teenage detective, in a film series from 1938 to 1939. However, as her childhood fame faded, she found new opportunities within the film industry. Throughout the 1940s, Bonita took on several smaller roles and shifted her career by demonstrating talents beyond acting. In 1947, Bonita married Jack Rather, an oil millionaire and film producer. Together, they built Rather Corporation, a strong film production and hospitality services company. Bonita transitioned from actress to executive producer, helping shape film projects including the Lassie series, which later featured John Provost and Tommy Rettig. Under Bonita's leadership, Rather Corporation became a major force in the entertainment industry. She passed away in 1988 from cancer, but not before making an incredible transition from child actress to a powerful female executive. Her achievements in production and business leadership made Bonita Granville rather a rare example of one of the most successful career reinventions among former child stars. Martin Stevens was one of the most notable child actors in British cinema, remembered for his haunting roles in classic horror films. His two most memorable performances were as David Selby in Village of the Damned, 1960, and Miles in The Innocents, 1961. His ability to portray supernatural threats while maintaining a childlike innocence made Martin one of the most distinctive child actors in the horror genre. Though praised by critics and audiences alike, Martin's career was relatively brief. After a few appearances in films and television, he withdrew from the entertainment industry at just 16 and vanished completely from the public eye. For decades, horror fans wondered about the disappearance of the cold child from classic films. Martin kept his personal life so private that many believed he had either passed away or was living in seclusion. However, the truth is that he is still alive, and in recent years, Martin has occasionally participated in documentaries reflecting on the horror films he starred in. While he considers his acting experiences as a chapter of his past, Martin still sometimes shares stories from those days, helping audiences gain insight into one of the lesser-known child stars in film history. Johnny Crawford rose to fame with his role on The Rifleman, 1958, and found success not only as an actor, but also as a musician in the 1960s. His singles, like Cindy's Birthday and Rumors, charted on Billboard, making Johnny one of the versatile talents who successfully transitioned from child actor to adult singer. Although he continued appearing in TV shows and films throughout the 1960s and early 1970s, including a recurring role on Hawaii Five-0, his career gradually declined as he grew older and his youthful image no longer fit. Despite this, Johnny found joy in his music career and was satisfied with his artistic achievements. His passion for classical music and ability to reinvent himself in new fields made him a model for life after leaving the spotlight. In 2019, Johnny was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, and he passed away in 2021, leaving behind a life balanced between childhood fame and later artistic pursuits, living true to his own path. Jay North was one of the most prominent child actors of the 1960s, especially known for his role as Dennis the Menace in the TV series of the same name, which aired from 1959 to 1963. With his mischievous image in a striped shirt and overalls, Jay became one of the most famous young faces in America. However, behind the smile and on-screen cheerfulness was a sad story of abuse Jay endured throughout filming. His aunt and uncle, who were his guardians on set, treated him very poorly psychologically, creating immense pressure for him to always maintain the image of a playful, happy Dennis. The pressure took a serious toll on Jay's mental health, leaving deep psychological scars that were hard to heal. After he stopped playing Dennis at age 12, his career quickly declined, and he struggled to find suitable roles throughout his teenage years. After a brief stint in the Navy, Jay left Hollywood entirely and became a corrections officer. The psychological impact of childhood fame and personal struggles led Jay to battle depression and resentment for many years. Today, at 73, Jay lives a quiet life away from Hollywood, but occasionally attends autograph sessions or gives interviews about his experiences. He has been very candid about the challenges child stars face and the negative effects early fame can have on a child's development. So, we've just explored some fascinating stories about child stars, haven't we? Now, what do you think about the challenges young artists face on their path to fame? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Also, do you know any other child stars we didn't mention in this video? If so, don't hesitate to share them with us. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss future videos, and ring the notification bell. And finally, leave us a 1 if you love stories about child stars, or a 0 if you'd like us to cover a different topic. Thanks so much for watching and supporting us.